It is 11:15.
Okay. Ready to go?
Madam President, it is 11:15. This is being recorded, and we're prepared to start the sole work session that we have today with Deputy Director Jennifer Behringer.
Excellent. Welcome, Jennifer. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
Let's see. Pull up my slide presentation.
If I don't.
Okay, how do I share the screen?
Will you get in trouble?
You sign it that you could see.
Oh, okay.
You have Lily.
I appreciate that. Thank you. It should go fairly quickly, though, pending any questions. You have this shared. Thank you.
I feel like I'm.
Okay. President May, Commissioners, I'm pleased to present today an update on our summer maintenance activities schedule. As you recall, a couple of months ago, I came to the Commission to let you know what our plan was for the summer months in lieu of chip seal. And we've made some great progress in the couple of months that we've had here with our teams back to work. So as just a real quick reminder of where we were, chip seal season was canceled, and typically we spend 3 months in the summer months, May through August, working through our chip seal zone, and we would have been in zone 2 south. So we're coming to the end of where we would have been at the end of chip seal. Obviously, our challenges with the coronavirus, we had the governor's stay-at-home order, which essentially halted all our non-emergency grade and utility operations for those 2 months. And during those 2 months, the backlog continued to grow. We do find that we are still normal pace of teleces and call-ins are keeping the work orders continuing the steady growth through the summer months. So we've had an opportunity to catch up a little bit on the backlog of our repairs and work orders, working through our current work orders that are still coming in, and then some of the projects that have lingered on the back burner, we've been able to give them the attention this summer that we wouldn't ordinarily have if well focused on chip seal. And looking at Zone 2S again and possibly Zone 3, we've been going forward and doing some preparation in those areas in anticipation of next year's chip seal. And we've had an innovation that we've been kind of working on as well. So I have a very brief update on that. So before I get into the status of things, this does continue to be a challenge with the coronavirus and our quarantines. So we're finding the aggressive strategy that we have in ACHD to ensure the health and safety of our team does mean some of the road work is pushed out a little bit and the timelines are extended. So I just want to caveat this with that even with the stay-at-home order being lifted, we aren't operating at 100% all of the time with full crew force. So starting with Adams. So our Adams grade crew has been very busy, working in Zone 2S again, removing some of the roots and taking out the cold mix that's done in the wintertime and replacing it with the hot mix, assisting the utility crew with that. And I've got an update in the next few slides with the utility crew. What I do want to focus on this slide is the projects that we've been able to get at. We're about 60% complete on the projects that we've had listed as of a couple of months ago when I first presented this. Some of the areas, like the sewer trench failure on Wood Acres Court off Latah, was a particularly big fix. It took 1 full week to do that repair with a full crew. And as I mentioned, we've been hindered with a lot of crew members being out here and there for our quarantines. So a couple of the other, right there toward the end of my projects list, the sewer trench failure on North Fontana Way, and then the cul-de-sac repair on Palmander. Those are ones that we're still working toward completing. The Fontana Way one is not a safety issue. There was another cul-de-sac that just popped up on Warm Springs Drive that is a particularly necessary and kind of safety required cul-de-sac that we need to get to before the summertime. So we might not get to La Fontana Way this summer, but we're playing that one by ear. I'm sorry, the cul-de-sac rebuild on Palmander because of the cul-de-sac repair on Warm Springs. But the crew's been doing an amazing job. Lots of call-ins in the last few months on alley repairs. grading and pothole fills. So the work order backlog on the alleys, I just got an update this morning. We only have one left for a call in for the alleys, and then they'll be able to focus again on that north end area for 36th toward East Warm Springs and continuing that routine alley maintenance. And some of the shouldering jobs had been completed as well, although not as many as we thought we would get to at this pace. But again, we're chipping away at these things, and the grade crew is keeping very busy. And this next slide shows from March 18th to May 13th when we were down. These are how well they've been able to complete the work orders that backlogged during the stay-at-home work order. And if you were to do a calculation, we're approximately 76% of those have been completed, in addition to the higher priority ones that have come in since this list was created. Adams Utility, I mentioned before some of the work that they were doing in the chip seal area, but on the project side, a lot of good progress with 7 out of these 8 projects already completed this summer. The one that we have open still is the drainage improvements on Shaw Mountain Road. But again, absolutely tremendous work by the Adams Utility team to complete the projects that we've had on backlog. The work orders do keep us pretty busy. So our work order backlog has increased to approximately 160 items in total. So while it looks like we're not completing the ones that we had on backlog at this point, they are working toward getting those work orders completed. They're able to get approximately 10 done each month. So we're looking at those work orders and trying to determine if there's a better way to get at those to knock those out and get them completed. For Adams Utility, this was the list that we had from March to May, and they are about 50% done with this COVID catch-up list. Again, because some of the higher priority things have come in since May that have diverted their attention. Over to the Cloverdale side, Cloverdale grade has had tremendous work on the community project, Amity Road in Cloverdale. So I don't have a completed on this yet because they're very close. The grade crew did finish the pathways over the last couple of weeks, and our utility team is now going in to complete that project at Amity Road in Cloverdale. Continuing with the asphalt repairs in the zones, I don't have a percentage completed on there, but they've been able to make some progress as they get in there. But the true victory on Cloverdale grade is their cul-de-sac repair list. So we had listed 6 cul-de-sacs back when I briefed this in June, and all but 1 are completed. So they're working to get that last one scheduled and completed. Some of the work that we wanted to get done out at White Pit has been completed. So we got the inspection pad completed, secondary containment area was built, and they upgraded the irrigation system. So all of that work is complete. And then they do continue to screen out at White Pit. That's an ongoing effort. Cloverdale Yard, they did repair the deteriorating decant pad, and the next on the list to complete is the secondary containment area. Repairing the heavily cracked asphalt areas in the yard is something that I would still like to try and get to this summer, but it is fill work. So as the more higher pressing road work gets done, then maybe they'll be able to come back and fix up inside our yard a little bit more too. But it is the lowest of all the priorities on the list. Pleasant Valley Road continues to be on our scope. The project that we were talking about at one point to complete possibly paving that road, we are going to be going into talks with Gowan Road on that one. So nothing more on our end at this point to pave that. So we'll continue to go out about once a month to grade that road and take care of the potholes. Kuna Bridge was another kind of success story. That one actually got done fairly quickly once we got back to work. I repaired the settled asphalt area on the bridge out in Kuna. For Cloverdale Utility and the bridge team, the projects that we had on our backlog, 100% of those have been completed. So great news story. Their chip seal zone 2 south repairs that we were tracking, they completed everything that they could complete this summer, and one is deferred until spring while the irrigation box leak once that gets taken care of, they can finish that other work order that we have in that area. For the community projects, the Plummer Road pedestrian bridge, this was one that they had started just before. We had to button things up very quickly when we went to the stay-at-home order. So as soon as they were able to get their crews back, they got out there to the Plummer Road pedestrian bridge and completed that. And if you haven't had a chance to see that, it looks wonderful, and we've gotten a lot of kudos from the community on how that looks. We got a couple other projects that we're going to complete once the irrigation gets turned off again. And then we do keep busy again with the call-ins and the teleces. So our work orders continue to grow for the Cloverdale utility team. I believe their list is around 130 work orders backlogged. So they are still trying to catch up on all of the new work orders that have come in. This was the March to May list. And as you can see, we're doing really well on this. Approximately 70-75% of this is complete. We do have a sinkhole and some sidewalk curb issues with the chemical damage. The sidewalk one is a lower priority, so they'll get to that after all the higher priority things are done. But definitely sidewalk repairs that are high on the safety list. You might be tracking one that we have on Americana, or I'm sorry, it's on VMP. So it's a pretty aggressive heave with the high heat. Our sidewalks team is actually doing that, not Cloverdale Utility, but I did want to highlight that that's gotten some attention because it's such a big heave on that sidewalk. So with the summer heats, we are seeing a lot more of that happening on our sidewalks as well. We do have a contractor lined up to take care of that one on VMP now. So we should see that done in the next week. And then I'll just tie things up with the broom crew. As I had mentioned, the broom crew does work alongside of the chip seal team. So they come out and they clean beforehand, get the road ready for chip, and then they clean up the excess chip after. So by not doing chip seal, it's freed them up quite a bit. They've been able to get out to all areas now more than they would ordinarily get to in the summer months. So in all areas, in all of the non-downtown core areas, they've been able to complete 2 full rounds, and now they're working through those zones a third time now too. So they're doing a more thorough job on each of those roads. They're not rushed. We have fewer call-ins for the street sweeping now because I think they're seeing that the brooms are out there doing more work. So I think that's a great news story with the broom crew. And now the one innovation that we were going to look at this summer is a proof of concept for a roll-off dump. And what this would do would be free up a GEO who would be driving the broom. And so rather than the broom and then the dump, having the dump truck moving back and forth, we'd be using roll-off dumps with the bins strategically located to be able to use those, fill them, and then GEOs can move the filled dumps. So we've been working on getting those rental estimates and reviewing if this was going to be a viable concept for us in the future. If it is, it could save us a lot of manpower just by adding these extra roll-off dumpsters in the zones when we're chipping. So with that is the last update that I have. So just to kind of foot stomp, the teams have been doing really incredible work. A lot of teamwork between Adams and Cloverdale as we've had different crews go down for quarantines for different reasons, helping each other out and backfilling. So we have various activities that sometimes requires multiple crews working together, and a lot of times each yard is able to do that kind of internally and organically within themselves. But we've had to really bring up the cohesiveness between the 2 yards to make sure that we have full teams out doing stuff when our manpower has been a little bit low. So overall, fairly good progress on our backlog of work. But I do want to again say that the work doesn't stop, so the work orders do continue to come in, and we are keeping extremely busy. And it's been very beneficial to not this summer have to try and figure out how to do the chip seal with our manpower kind of being pulled away as it has been with the quarantines. But ACHD has always had it as a priority to keep the health and safety of our team members at the forefront, so we're very grateful to to have that. And we are still 100% out on the roads and doing what we need to do to keep the traffic safety at the forefront. So with that, I'll stand for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Very good. Impressive update. I appreciate you coming and bringing us up to speed on what your teams are doing. You've made some good progress out there with everything considered and the roadblocks. But thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for Jennifer? All right, hearing none. Jennifer, thank you very much. We look forward to the next one.
Madam President, I believe we'll wait until 11:45 per your direction for the pre-commission discussion.
All right.
So we
So
have
it
a
looks like
gift
we've
of
got a
time.
little bit, a gift of time. All right, we'll take it. Thank you, Mr. Wallace.
So we have time.
Madam President, there might be a couple people who are listening to see whether we're going to discuss the traffic calming. You might announce when that's going to be so that they can make plans.
Yes, I believe we're trying to schedule that for next session. Is that correct, Mr. Wallace? If it works with Mr. Sack's schedule?
Madam President, that's correct. I should have pointed that out. Yes, in fact, we discussed this. Mr. Sack is involved in
You're
some other
muted.
stuff today, so we'll do it next week, if that's okay.
We'll have to.
There we go.
You're gonna have to repeat that.
Mr. Wallace, do we have Josh teed up for next week?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I thought
very
it was
good.
still on, so yes, in fact, he is otherwise engaged today, and so we have asked to push that to next week.
Very good. Thank you very much.
So we just hang the slip for the.
Show me what you what did you write?
Well, it's ready.
No, that we need to do it today, so.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, I absolutely. Probably gonna send it here. I have to send it to the people on Friday. I am, or only the last two? Okay.
Good, I'm sure you'll coordinate with you just to make sure.
Perfect, yeah.
Well, we need some decision on the resolution too.
Right. Otherwise, we're just supposed to write out whatever.
Well, we can't.
Okay, let's advertise like 5 different resolutions.
Every variation in some direction. So,
Okay.
they like to just put it off until the last minute.
If I pull up my PowerPoint, are you guys still working on something? If I
You have never met Jennifer?
No, I've never met Jennifer. Jennifer, come on in. I'm sure they have great opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I will.
You were at They did that March.
I'm assuming I can find it.
I like that, and I like
This
Jay,
guy
so
thinks-
that's sad. Because they actually did a really good job, and I don't agree with the direction, with the stuff they were
With the
saying.
knowledge they know.
Yeah, they did a good job. They were just doing what they were told to do, they did a good job, so they're gonna have a hard time. Zach isn't up to date with this.
Well, you know, what's this on that?
I don't know, we'll find out.
I already did. He sent that email on Monday, I was like, what?
Where are the other
Yeah.
holders though? Do we used to have a
I don't know if it's on here.
Scroll down. Might be.
Oh, okay.
You're like, oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
So yesterday with pictures. Yeah, how'd they go? Really good.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Their mic is on this one. Switch. Yeah, but that's a good call.
All right, have you been down here? Yeah, I actually just got Detour. Nice. Monday was my first day back.
I don't.
Got a cute little baby promotion at the office, so really.
Our open house, I think we went out of town that weekend. Cause we were like at 180.
Congratulations.
We had 13 offers, but we had put like, we'll review offers when we get back. So they're not doing Wednesday, Tuesdays.
That's what we said too, we review on.
That's-
That's all.
They said they got like 6 offers. We're in a price ours to buy a house in Pleasant.
As long as it's managed.
Yeah, exactly, so,
Last night, for that was awesome. I got 6 hours.
okay,
Okay. We're screaming, crying all night long.
got it, okay, that's good, that's what I was thinking, 'cause I saw Bill.
Yeah.
You never know what's gonna happen for a while, but it's worth it in the moment. That's what happened.
Okay.
That's all right. You've been there, so.
I've been there 3 times.
Doing awesome. Great. Yeah, we were just talking about how I don't get much sleep, but it's worth it. It's been a blast.
Just to let you know, it doesn't really help all that much when there's like 20.
Yeah.
Still don't get much sleep.
No, I've heard.
They give you different things to worry about.
You're constantly losing sleep, and they actually just get more and more expensive as
Yes.
they age.
Yes, they
It's
do.
like, oh, great. Makes me wonder.
Although I will say 2 are easy.
They-
We can entertain each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want them too far apart.
I know my sisters and I are all 4 years apart, and I think that would be, I wouldn't go much further than that.
Like 2, 3. Mine are 3. So my oldest turns 21, and the next one turns 18. And then the next one will turn 14. So they're kind of
Laptops, thank you very much.
Are they, when my sister
Yeah.
Instead of a short work session.
Yeah, well, my oldest is in college, so. Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. What is that? Yeah. Things on.
How is it? You love being a dad?
Oh, it is absolutely everything it was cracked up. Yeah.
That's how my husband felt about it too.
Just wait.
What?
I said just me. Especially after staying at home. No, not yet, no. And I'm not going to either.
Projectile bond.
It's just gonna be what it is. Yeah, the two.
It's the your signature on those here, and then this is a return to work. I don't ever do just
He's only ever come
Okay. Okay.
And why am I doing that?
Because HR wants to know that you have received the document and wants to have a signature.
Words out.
After.
Good. Madam President, it is now 11:45.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wallace. Welcome, everyone. We'll go ahead and start our pre-commission meeting, and we will kick off with any general comments or concerns that any commissioners would like to bring up.
Madam President?
Commissioner Hanson.
Yes, I have a question on item 8 on the consent agenda.
Okay, hold on, just, are there no, or anything, that any other commissioner wants to bring up before we go to the agenda? All right, hearing none, Commissioner Hanson.
Yes, I was wondering on the Apex, that southeast Apex development, we're adding 2.63 new miles of road. Most of those roads are in an exclusive neighborhood. They're not connected. It says there's no entrance. The collector is south. So I wondered why there wasn't, these roads aren't private, because it's basically an exclusive neighborhood. Because, well, what the analysis would be to the taxpayers to assume the obligation of that. So I wondered
Well, it's like boo boo boo.
whether those things should have been private. Was there any consideration to reference the staff report?
Okay, just one moment, Commissioner Hanson. I'm not sure if we have individuals that have not muted their microphones, but there was a lot of feedback and reverberation there when he was speaking. So, or I don't know if that's something we can take care of there in-house.
I think that's
I don't know. The auditorium.
It was the auditorium making that noise, but hopefully
Making
we got
noise.
it under control.
Okay, very good. All right. Did you want to respond to Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, Madam President, Commissioner Hanson. The reason why these are public streets in this subdivision is this is the first phase of a multi-phase development. HCHD previously approved an annexation application that included this site, which includes a few hundred more acres of property to the north and west of this site. So as they bring in new preliminary plats, those public streets would be extended to provide connectivity over to existing subdivisions at Meridian Road and then further north.
My question is actually on the one to the southeast. So there's no, this doesn't include, there's no connection to the east, and there's no connection, well, there's a collector road to the south. but the road within.
Excuse me, Commissioner Hanson, that's because that's a City of Meridian public park that's right there, so there will be some pedestrian connectivity, but that park has already been developed that's east of the site.
Right, but there's no road access, so people can't drive in from the east, right?
They will have access via the collector roadway network that is planned.
Right,
Yep.
right, okay. Madam President, I would like to report it as voting no. I think we need an analysis if we're going to be adopting all these new roads that aren't connected by road to any other site except dump collectors. So for item 8, I have 2 other quick questions. On item 6 on the consent agenda, we're going to be on Quail Valley Drive. Is it already determined that there will be or won't be roundabouts in that section? This is a new road, it hasn't been built yet, and I think our policy is that where we have an opportunity to build roundabouts, we will, or do it with a development agreement. So, will there be roundabouts on this or none?
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, this is actually just for the roadway, and there's not an intersection involved in this. So they will be building the full street section, curb, gutter, sidewalk, and we are reimbursing them for 30 feet of the pavement.
Right, so my question is, by moving forward on this, are we eliminating the possibility of roundabouts to the entrance to those neighborhoods along that section?
I believe the commission already approved this without a roundabout
No roundabout.
at the preliminary plat phase.
Yes. It's a condition.
I'm sorry, I thought that flat phase was sort of design concept, that we haven't got that detailed. So we will not have, I would like us to explore those, because this is the segment, especially at this width, where we will have speeding, and there's neighborhoods that'll be built nearby.
Commissioner Hanson, Mindy just clarified that they will be building turn lanes, but there was no signal or roundabout warranted.
That's terrible. Okay, one last question. Item 7, the bridge. We're going to be building it for 5 lanes, although there's no, the 5 lanes aren't going to exist for many years, so it'll be super wide. Is there a possibility of, once we've connected the bike lanes and pathways, to put up the physical barriers on the bridge?
I could barely hear you, Commissioner Hanson. What were you asking for about on the bridge?
So the road will be 3 lanes for along, eventually 5. That's Lake Hazel. And then you go on the bridge, widen to 5 lanes, quite a wide area where we tend to have acceleration. There will be bike lanes and sidewalks. Is there a way we could put Jersey barriers or other physical protection so that vulnerable road users are protected? It makes sense because they have no place to go except if a car goes over the lines.
Commissioner Hanson, the ACHD project to improve the Eagle Lake Hazel intersection is scheduled for construction in 22. So this will occur before that, but yes, we'll look at what we need to do to protect in that area where it's extra wide. And then with the intersection project, we'll be able to tie the two together, of course.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, Madam President, I just reported as voting no on item 8 of the consent agenda, unless somebody else wants turns and move it from the consent agenda. Otherwise, I'm fine with just reported as voting no.
Commissioner May, you are muted. Commissioner May.
Yeah, I had to. It was just, the noise was terrible. Since we approved the consent agenda, all the items on there with one motion, since Commissioner Hanson has stated that he's voting no on number 8, do we need to pull that?
No.
What's the procedure for there? We just note that he is in objection?
Not a problem.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your comments, Commissioner Hanson. Do any other commissioners have any comments or concerns about the agenda?
Yes, Madam President, I do.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
This is on first item 7. Since the developments in items
We really
8
can't
and
hear
9 are going to have a 10-foot multi-use pathway, I am assuming that the width of the bridge here will accommodate that going forward, and I'm certainly hoping so. And for 8 and 9, I would like to formally go on the record to thank the developer and applicant for the attention that he has made for connectivity and very safe bicycle and pedestrian facilities.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe.
Madam President, we can say yes to that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Wallace. All right, any other comments? All right, hearing none, Mr. Wallace, you have a update ops report for us.
Madam President, we have
Chair.
3 items on the regular agenda, and all those briefers are in the house here at ACHD World Headquarters. Just as a reminder, we will have one work session after the regular agenda is complete. Other than that, I can assure the commission I have nothing else to say except that we're proud to serve and getting the job done.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wallace. All right, so it looks like we have a few minutes before we start our regular session. Thank you.
Development agreements are a condition of the plat. He doesn't get it. So we did last week.
I will message.
Okay.
think we'll be able to pay it down to 2. I think we'll spend more than we'll collect in the last quarter.
Hey.
Okay, we're unmuted. Wait till it gets, I can't. I can't hear.
Madam President, it is now 12 noon.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wallace. Welcome, everyone. I will now call our August 5th Commission meeting to order. And Mr. Wallace, if you would be so kind as to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and join me. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Today, we would like to recognize our Cloverdale Bridge crew, Flynn Skinner, Josh Sitzer, and Jason Lamphere. On the morning of July 23rd, the bridge crew was repairing a guardrail on the west side of Orchard, south of Chinden, when a bicyclist rode through their coned area, traveling downhill at an extremely high rate of speed. The bicyclist unfortunately lost control, crashed, skidded, and struck the inside curb. The bicyclist did lose consciousness for a short time. Our team provided swift support and response for the bicyclist, alerting emergency responders and rendering aid until the ambulance arrived. Their support clearly underscores their commitment to excellence in all that we do and our unwavering care for the public. Please join me in thanking Flynn, Josh, and Jason. Well done, gentlemen. Thank you. All right, our first item is to adopt our agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I move approval of the consent agenda with the notations by Mr. Hansen on the items he's refraining from voting on. Second.
Very good, thank you.
Would be
Is there a
item
second?
8.
Item 8. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. Our first item on our regular agenda today is the FY20 third quarter impact fee report, and we will be hearing from Ms. Christine Chandler. Christine, welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, Christine Chandler, Budget Coordinator, here to give an impact fee report balance for the ending third quarter of 2020. So we began the fiscal year at $7.9 million with a loan balance. We have since paid off the loan balance and are showing a $4 million impact fee program balance of $4 million as of the end of July. The main impact fee projects to date are Cole Franklin. There's 10 Mile used to Chinden. There are 2 projects combined in there. Maple Grove Victory to Overland is in the right-of-way phase. We'll be in the construction phase starting in FY21. And then Cole Victory is under construction at this time. Thus far, we've spent $1.9 million in impact fee eligible costs, but those will, of course, increase the more we get into construction season with more asphalt laying down and the like. On the extraordinary impact fees, we have increased the total of the impact fee, the extraordinary impact fee balance to $2 million. I do know that there's development that's working on some projects, I believe, around Pierce Park that we will be utilizing some of those funds for in the future. So in accordance with the ordinance 231A, I report that the impact fee program has been repaid and there is a positive balance of $4 million. I will stand for any questions.
All right, very good. Thank you, Christine. Commissioners, any questions or comments for Christine? No? Hearing none? Christine, thank you very much. All right, our next item on our agenda is Leone Hills 2 preliminary plat, request for approval, waiver of policy. We will be hearing from Austin Miller. Austin, welcome.
Madam President, Commissioners, for the record, Austin Miller, Development Services. Before you today is a preliminary plat for Leone Hills 2, a 4-lot residential subdivision. This item is on the regular agenda because the applicant has requested a waiver of ACHD's frontage improvements policy. The 9-acre site is located at 3773 North Cartwright Road and is located approximately 1,665 feet north of Bogus Basin Road. The applicant has requested a waiver of ACHD's frontage improvements policy, which requires Cartwright Road to be improved abutting the site as a 40-foot wide rural collector street section with 2 12-foot wide travel lanes and 8-foot wide paved shoulders within enough right-of-way to accommodate drainage. Staff is not supportive of the requested waiver and has recommended alternative improvements. To provide a bit of context, I wanted to discuss the existing conditions on Cartwright Road. Cartwright Road north of Bogus Basin, shown here in blue, is an existing 36-foot wide street section with curb, gutter, and sidewalk on the west side. Cartwright Road south of the site, shown here in orange, tapers from a 40-foot wide street section with curb, gutter, and sidewalk on both sides down to a 28-foot street section with a borrow ditch replacing the curb and gutter on the west side. Cartwright Road, butting the site, shown here in yellow, is currently improved with 2 travel lanes and 28 feet of pavement. Vertical curb, gutter, and an attached sidewalk exists on the east side of Cartwright across from the site. A 15 to 18 foot wide borrow ditch and detached sidewalk exists on the west side of the roadway abutting the site. ACHD has installed rock check dams within the existing borrow ditch abutting the site in an effort to slow the flow of water and improve drainage in the area. ACHD's master street map identifies Cartwright Road as a rural collector roadway, requiring that the roadway be improved as a 40-foot wide rural street section with 2 12-foot wide travel lanes and 8-foot wide paved shoulders. Cartwright Road is listed in the Roadways to Bikeways Master Plan as a Level 2 facility. Consistent with the Roadways to Bikeways Plan, a minimum of a shoulder bike lane should be provided on a Level 2 facility with speeds of 40 miles per hour or less and less than 15,000 vehicle trips per day. This applies to this segment of Cartwright Road, which has a speed limit of 30 miles per hour and an average daily traffic count of 1,914 vehicle trips per day. The applicant has requested a waiver of ACHD's frontage improvements policy for Cartwright Road and has requested not to widen the pavement as they believe reducing the width of the existing borrow ditch will adversely impact the existing drainage system. Additionally, the applicant has noted that there are no existing bicycle facilities within the vicinity of the site. Staff is not supportive of the proposed waiver of improvements and believes that the drainage can be accommodated within a smaller borrow ditch and that additional pavement width can be provided. Because of this, staff has recommended alternative improvements to allow for additional pavement abutting the site. Due to the existing sidewalk and borrow ditch, staff recommends a modification of policy to allow the applicant to widen the pavement on Cartwright Road abutting the site to the maximum width possible while preserving a minimum 8-foot wide borrow ditch from the existing sidewalk location. Maintaining a minimum 8-foot wide borrow ditch allows for the additional pavement width while not compromising the existing drainage system. Pavement widening will vary from approximately 7 to 10 feet based on existing conditions. This will provide adequate pavement width to accommodate 2 vehicle travel lanes and 2 bicycle lanes. Additionally, staff recommends the applicant coordinate with ACHD to explore the opportunity to enter into a cooperative development agreement for the areas shown here in orange. The agreement would extend the pavement widening consistent with the widening required abutting this site along Cartwright Road south approximately 580 feet to connect into existing improvements. If completed, this project would allow for an approximately 0.4 of a mile continuous segment of Cartwright Road north of Bogus Basin Road to be improved with a minimum of 36 feet of pavement. While bike lanes do not exist on Cartwright Road north of the site, this would allow for bike lanes to be striped on Cartwright Road adjacent to and south of the site, extending to Bogus Basin Road where they do not exist today, consistent with the Roadways to Bikeways Master Plan. If pavement widening is not required, the existing 2-foot wide paved shoulder will remain for bicyclists. Staff recommends approval of the staff report as written, and I will stand for questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions?
Madam President.
Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, thanks, Austin. So the additional pavement, 8-foot wide paved shoulder, would that be to split between a bike lane on the 2 sides? So you basically be shifting when we get around to putting, you'd basically be shifting the road a little bit so that you have 4-foot bike lanes on either side or 3-foot plus the paint. Is that the idea?
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, yes, that is the idea. If the cooperative development project is constructed, we do plan on restriping Cartwright Road, and that would involve shifting the existing center line to make room for bicycle lanes on both sides of the street.
Right. Now, if there was already a bike lane on the far side, I don't know what that is, the westbound or northbound, there's already a bike lane, we would only need 4 feet for this property owner to put in. So, but we're asking them to, let's pay for a bike lane on both sides?
So there's not an existing bicycle lane on the other side of the road, just for clarification.
Right.
And the applicant, or pardon me, the master street map calls for 20 feet of pavement from center line. What staff is proposing is still a reduction of that. It just allows for us to essentially restripe the road to provide for those bike lanes.
Right. So, well, my suggestion is that we split the cost because they would be responsible for the bike lane, the sidewalk, the improvements on their side of the road. ACHD would be responsible for the improvements on the other side of the road.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Another question, Commissioner Hanson? No? Any other commissioners? All right, thank you very much, Austin. So the applicants are in attendance, Jane Suggs and Dave Powell, and they would like to address the commission.
Thank you, Commissioners. Jane Suggs at Gem State Planning, 9840 Overland Road, representing Leone Hills and JO Development. I'm here with Dave Powell, our site engineer, and we're here representing Mr. Doug JO.
Welcome, both of you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I think we've given you some detailed information. We provided a package of information that details what goes on in our frontage, our 360 feet of frontage. As noted in our letter, we do appreciate the staff time that they spent. Actually, we met on site there. But we do disagree with even the compromise. I believe Austin says they're trying to provide a compromise, but the issue is we have a system out there for drainage right now that works. And it's something that the ACHD maintenance staff has worked on for a while to make it work. The area that's serviced by the drainage is about 16 feet wide, so it goes all the way from the existing edge of pavement to the existing sidewalk. There is existing sidewalk there, so we have that. And to split that in half to 8 feet, we are very concerned that we are destroying a system of drainage that actually works. And I think it's really obvious that when you take a ditch that is 16 feet wide and then you turn it into something that's only 8 feet wide, it'll have to be deeper. And one of the issues we have there is slowing the water down that comes from the top of the hill north of us. And so right now those rock check dams actually, and the width of the ditch actually allow the water to slow down, and the sediment drops out and it slows the water to the south of us. And we think that that's a system. In fact, we've spoken with a past maintenance, ACHD maintenance supervisor who says that that was something that they worked on a long time to make it work. It would be a shame to add pavement that's not going to be used for a bike lane in 360 feet. That would not going to be used for a bike lane. You're just destroying the drainage system. So we very much believe that we should just keep the drainage system as it is. Now, one of these days, when ACHD wants to widen all the way from Bogus Basin all the way up to, say, Pierce Park for bike lanes, that might be the time to widen the pavement. But just a short stretch of pavement of 360 feet, you would not be moving the center line if you widen the pavement in front of our property. So you would just have pavement that would not be used. You would be destroying the drainage system that's already there and working. I can answer questions, or Dave can add a little bit. You saw that he did a really good analysis of the pavement width up and, north and south of us, and there really isn't room to add any more bike lanes until you actually do the full project.
Thank you, Jane. We'll go ahead with you, Mr. Powell, if you'd like to make some comments.
Yeah, this is Dave Powell, 2447 South Vista Avenue. Just to give you a little bit of insight to this drainage, I just studied the asphalt and the borrow ditch. I did not study all of the hillside that drains down into the road. That is 2,200 feet long of drainage from the highest point before it drops back down into the other side of the drainage. It's 2,200 feet long, 25 feet wide. It is about 2.4 cubic feet per second. That's 1,000 gallons a minute coming at down this drainage in the worst 100-year design. So looking at the geometry of the channel, it does not cut it in half. It cuts it in 1/3. And so where you have, you've lost 2/3 of your drainage and you've increased your velocity 3 times. So you lose a lot of the ability to have that sediment settle out in these small drainage basins. If it leaves these drainage basins, it's in the curb and gutter down beyond the fire station, the LDS church, and dumps directly into the storm drain in Bogus Basin Road and then Crane Creek. No checks, no balances, sediment in the drainage. So it would be where I see ACHD maintenance taking quite a bit of time to put a drainage system together that works, albeit needing maintenance on a routine basis. Having the system fail puts drainage into a creek, and I really don't want to be a part of it as an engineer designing this, of somebody that is ruining a drainage system and then putting sediments into Crane Creek. There's really no way to get into Crane Creek and maintain that except for down at the drainage basins at Greenwoods. There's a large drainage area there, but that's after, you know, thousands and thousands of feet of running down the creek. And that's pretty much it for me.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions for the applicants? All right, hearing none, thank you both very much. Commissioners, we'll go ahead and give Austin an opportunity to address any statements by the applicants. Do you have any comment?
Madam President, do we have anyone from our drainage staff? We have a pretty extensive drainage experts on staff who have done analysis of drainage and the Cartwright drainage.
Madam President,
Ms.
Commissioner
Little.
Hanson, we don't have anyone here in the office, but Bill Gall is online, and Bill and Austin worked with our maintenance crews to talk about the history and what's going on. So I think if we can get Bill on, he can speak to this.
I just saw his name on screen here, fleetingly.
Yep.
There he is.
Yeah, President May, Commissioners, for the record, Bill Goff, Development Service Review Supervisor. We've looked at the drainage system, and until we get a full design, I've spoken to Lloyd Carnegie as well. They're maintaining that system now. It is functioning, but until we get a full design from the applicant, we don't know for sure that 8 feet will work or that we need 10 feet. You know, the condition is written as an 8-foot minimum wide, you know, swale in there. We use 8-foot wide swales in a lot of areas. They work very well. This is a conveyance swale. It's not really for infiltration purposes due to the hillside. And so until we have full design, we don't know for sure that we need 16 feet. Looking at it, it appears that some of that existing 16-foot swale is kind of wasted due to the slopes, but we're going to need a cross-sections and elevations to know exactly how wide we're going to have to design that swale. But the swale will have to function appropriately and be able to be maintained by maintenance with the redesign.
Thank you, Mr. Gall. Commissioners, any questions?
Well, Madam President?
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I don't know who this question is for, but if we have the appropriate width, we can then make any adjustments that are necessary in the future. Is that correct? It doesn't have to necessarily, as Mr. Gall said, be an 8-foot minimum, but if we have the necessary right-of-way, we could go higher than that.
There's Austin.
Madam
Thank you,
President,
Austin.
Commissioner Baker, we do have adequate right-of-way width currently to accommodate not only the existing sidewalk, the existing borrow ditch, any pavement widening. So if modifications did need to be made in the future, there is existing right-of-way to accommodate that.
Thanks.
Very good. Commissioner Baker, any other questions?
No, that's fine.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, Austin, do you have anything else that you wanted to add concerning the applicant's comments, or?
I do not, Madam President.
Are you good? All right, thank you very much. All right, Commissioners, you have this item before you, the request for approval, waiver of policy.
Madam Chair, were there any
Is there a
members of
motion?
the public that had signed up to talk about this?
I did not get a notification from Ms. Spencer that there were,
Nope.
but thank you for checking. We never know. Want to make sure everybody gets heard. All right, Commissioners, you have this item before you.
Madam President,
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
I would like to move that we approve the staff report as written.
All right, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right,
No.
discussion?
Madam President,
Commissioner Hanson?
question for Ms. Goldthorpe. Could you include in your motion that in the event that we require a certain amount of area to be paved, that the cost be split with ACHG, since the bike lane that will be built eventually is put into, is going to be on the other side of the road, half of it. So we're really only asking for portion. It's that, and the other question, well, go ahead. If you don't want to, that's fine. I have other questions.
Well, I'm very reluctant to do anything, including what we have before us, because I think that there's probably plenty of people that are up there in the development to the north that are probably scared out of their wits to ride their bikes down that hill the way it is. So we need better bicycle facilities, and 4 feet's pretty darn minimal, but that's what we're looking at. Whether it's split with the developer or not really is not of consequence to me. It's not that much.
Thank you, Commissioner Goldthorpe. I do believe staff has come up with a good compromise that maintains the drainage appropriately, and while also accomplishing the roadways to bikeways, improvements along Cartwright Road. I do appreciate the applicants being here today and speaking to us. But that being said, I will be supporting the motion.
Madam President, I guess I do have...
Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah. We've done this before where we're not ready to build anything. The rest of the bike is not built for a while until that road is approved. Do we just figure out the cost and then ask them, rather than to build it, put it into a some sort of trust and apply that to the construction of the improvements in the future?
Christie?
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, we do at times allow road trust deposits, is what those are, where we calculate the amount of the required improvement. We typically don't take road trusts in lieu of improvements unless we have a planned project in the 5-year work plan. Otherwise, we have to give the money back in 10 years with interest, and if we don't have it programmed in 5 years, we typically recommend that the developer construct the required improvements.
Thank you. Any further discussion or questions? All right, Commissioners, you have a motion before you. We'll go ahead and call for the decision. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Commissioner Hanson, you were the one nay vote?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, our next item on our agenda is the condemnation of right-of-way necessary for Maple Grove Road, Victory Road to Overland Road, parcel 10-2570 South Maple Grove Road, Boise, 83709. Authorization and order of condemnation. This is a public hearing, so I will now open the public hearing. And we will hear from staff. Mr. Surter. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners.
Sorry, I got to get this set up for a left-hander. So, for the record, David Serdar, right-of-way supervisor for ACHD. This is a public hearing and decision briefing for the condemnation of Parcel 10 on the Maple Grove Victory to Overland project. The project is on the ACHD Integrated 5-Year Work Plan. It is scheduled to begin construction in November of 2020. Oops. This is a vicinity map of the parcel in question. It is situated north. It is situated north of Victory, which is actually about right here off the screen. It's a little hard to get it because of the scale here. And then south of Targhee, which would be right up in this area. The yellow is the fee acquisition, which is right there. And the red is the temporary construction easement, which sits right there. The acquisition is 0.057 acres or 2,498 square feet. And the construction easement is 2,025 square feet. The highest and best use of the property is single-family residential. A formal offer was made on November 13th, 2019 for $14,466.56. Discussions occurred with the property owner from December 11th, 2019 till May 21st, 2020. There was a period where we did not hear from the property owner, and then property owner then retained legal counsel, and offers were eventually rejected by both parties. And as always, even after this condemnation action, there will usually be negotiations that still go back and forth. So a condemnation action is not the end of negotiations. It is staff recommendation that the commission approve the condemnation with the following actions. Declare that the acquisition area is necessary for the project as a highway and public use. Authorize staff to proceed with the condemnation action. Execute an order of condemnation for the acquisition area. I will remain standing for any questions.
Madam President?
All right, thank you. Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, what was their counteroffer?
It was approximately $36,000.
And we couldn't split the difference?
We actually put an offer that was pretty close to splitting the difference for
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, hearing none, thank you. We do have Mr. and Mrs. Walker that are with us that would like to speak to this decision before us, review the property owners. Ms. Spencer, did we lose them?
Yes, the Walkers. I'm looking to see if they're still on. Yes, Les and Candy, you need to unmute yourself.
Yes.
Yes, oh, can you hear us okay now?
All right, there you are.
Yes, thank you.
All right, welcome, Mr. Walker. If you'd state your name and address for our record, please.
Les Walker, 2576 South Maple Grove Road, Boise, Idaho, 83709.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, I'm not sure, what do you, I guess I'm very new to this thing. I guess I want to refer to the gentleman that just spoke. What was his name?
Mr. Surter.
Yeah, Mr. Surter. The one point I heard you make, and I definitely want to zero in on that, we have no interest in going to or through a condemnation thing or a court proceeding or whatever. Our issues at this point in time are time. We are leaving the area here shortly, and hopefully can get this thing wrapped up. So if there is room for negotiation, we are certainly looking forward to that. The second thing, of course, is money, and we'll discuss that in a moment. But I guess I want to respond to one thing. I just want to get this on the record. We made an offer to the staff, as you call them, the county, whatever it is, and we got back the letter of condemnation, which I felt very bullied by that there was no call, there was no email saying something, just bam. That was the first offer we ever put forth to the folks. Having said that, I think we need to move on. The big thing I guess I want to put across to the commission, if I can, and we have all of our tax records since we bought the property, and the property has increased roughly, don't hold my math to this, but 13 to 14% yearly. Now, the ones we're talking about now is started November 19. We got our assessment value for 2020, and it's a good hard 13% increase, which I don't think is reflected in the offer that's been made. So that being said, the other part of the devaluation of our property, we've gone to several real estate appraisers and not attorneys, but agents, 15 to 20% by taking the front of this property off and bringing that Maple Grove Road back to within, I think it's 30 feet of the front door of our rental home there. And of course, I'm sure you've heard all of the things about the increased noise value and the 5-lane highway in front of our property. So the other thing I found, we have sent in many comps, and I've got here on the page 2 of their report, they keep saying our reports and our comps are inadequate. I just pulled one here for the coal project. $25,000 hit. These people sold their house, and I'll get this paperwork to you if you want it, for $25,000 less than what they were asking before the coal project began. So I want to throw that in the record. Let me look at my notes here real quick. Noise, rental property. Oh, yeah, I just mentioned one on coal. We asked for 3 driveways, which we currently have. They said we can only have 2. I think that's a kind of stab in the eye as far as value is concerned. And of course, the inconvenience of this project, I guess, is going to be a year to a year and a half. So I guess without belaboring the point a lot longer, Commissioners and Madam President, I understand that you're going to get this property no matter what, the dollar point. I would like to save us the time, you the time, us the money for an eminent domain attorney, somehow negotiate other than just sending us a condemnation letter or a very first offer. That was what was met with, the condemnation letter asking you to proceed with that. So I'm not sure what else I can add other than the fact I don't want to sell any of this property, but I understand that the eminent domain and the needs of the community, I do understand that. I wish that Mr., what was his name, Serta? Serta. Yes, could have done, maybe he and I could have talked earlier, maybe saved a lot of time here. And on that same thing, which is kind of picking minutia, we have notes here that when Michelle apologized, Michelle, who by the way has handled most of this with us, on May 2nd apologized for her delay. So the time thing has been a long and drawn out thing. I'm not sure why it has been, but Commissioners and Madam President, I really don't want to get an attorney. I don't want to drag this thing out anymore. I'd like you guys to look at this one more time and see if there's some way there can be something done besides an arbitrary price of $3.90 or whatever the offer is. That's my story. I think I'm going to stick to it. If I can answer any questions or anything, I would sure be happy to.
All right, thank you, sir. So it sounds like you would like the opportunity to sit down and have some further discussions before any definitive action is taken?
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, ma'am. I think that nobody wins going to court. I don't want to do it, but I feel right now I'm kind of being pushed hard into it. And I think I would love to have a chance to sit down and discuss a couple of these things and see if there is a resolution besides the condemnation and the proceedings that follow.
All right. We've got our general counsel at the podium, Mr. Price.
Madam President, Commissioner Steve Price, General Counsel, for the record. This is just today this proceeding is just for the entry of an order of condemnation. It most certainly is one step that occurs prior to us filing a lawsuit. I'll give you my word that we won't file the action until we've had additional opportunity to meet with you and your attorney. to discuss a resolution of this matter. So this is pretty typical. We go ahead and get the order in preparation. We have a time frame that the project is scheduled for. It's important for us for funding and a bunch of other reasons to get right-of-way certification. And so we will most certainly reach out to you. I have talked to your lawyer, at least reached out to him within the last couple of days. And after the entry of the order, if that's the commission's decision, I give you my word that we'll be in contact and we'll see if we can't find a resolution before we file a lawsuit.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Mr. Walker,
Yes.
would you like to respond to Mr. Price?
Yes, I would like to do that. I object very strongly to the condemnation proceedings. I feel very strongly about that. I think negotiation, we are not represented by an attorney at this point. The attorney we had, very good young man, has suggested an eminent domain attorney. I don't want to go there. I do not want you folks to condemn my property either. Those are just my personal feelings. I'm asking, who the fellow was just on there, ma'am? What was his name?
Mr. Price, he's our general counsel.
I would like to ask Mr. Price, and if we could, we'll come to your office, we'll do it this way. I would like to have a face-to-face before we get into some condemnation things or any of the other things, because I think if we go that route, I don't think we have much choice other than to go with the eminent domain people, and I don't want to do it. So Mr. Price, correct?
Yes.
If you could hold off, or if the commission could hold off until you set the meeting as quickly as whatever, and let's resolve this ASAP. That's my standing at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Price?
Madam President, Commissioners, again, most certainly, the order of condemnation is really just a one step in that direction. The filing of the lawsuit is the condemnation, and I give you my word that, and we'll be in touch with you. And the gentleman who did represent you, if you'd like, most certainly happy to have a meeting with you and see if we can't find a resolution prior to filing a lawsuit. And I will report to the commission the results of that discussion, and that's one thing. But again, we have certain things that we need to get in place prior to, to keep our project on schedule. The order of condemnation does that, but I promise you I will not file the lawsuit until I've talked to the commission and I've had an opportunity to, through additional negotiations, to discuss with you. I will say, I have reviewed the right-of-way file. I've reviewed all the communications. There's been extensive effort and discussions with the property owner in trying to get this matter resolved. This wasn't just one or two contacts. We've had several discussions with him and an attorney representing them.
Madam President, Steve.
All right, thank you, Mr. Price. Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, Mr. Walker, I understand this is extremely jarring. I've been through this myself, and it is extremely jarring. So, Steve, if we delayed this 1 week before a decision, would we have to renotice this, or could we just continue the hearing for 1 week? And then, Mr. Walker, hopefully you would get everything done and accomplished within that period of time. Can we do that?
Madam President, Commissioner Baker, yes, we can.
So, Mr. Walker, would that be okay if we gave it a week before we went and did this action? It would give you a week to get everything together, discuss this with our staff, and then hopefully accomplish this, and then we could just make this whole thing go away.
Yes, what's your name, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Commissioner Baker.
Commissioner Baker, I appreciate that, and I would welcome that wholeheartedly. I think we're ready, so if Mr. Price wants to name the time and the place within that week, we will be there without attorneys at this point. So I would, yes, thank you very much for that consideration.
Okay, and I'm willing to make the motion that we defer this for a week, and then hopefully have this all resolved within that week. But if it's not, then we'll have to move forward, because construction is going to be happening before we know it, and we need to have the property. So it has to be accomplished within that week.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Madam President, I just have.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Madam President,
Mr.
I have a question.
Arnold.
Procedurally, I don't think we had completed the public hearing and
Oh, that's true, that's true.
given people an opportunity to address this
Yeah.
item. I am inclined to agree with Commissioner Baker.
Well, I didn't actually
That
make
was
a
a little
motion,
Okay.
so I would be
Yeah.
willing.
She said she'd be, yeah, she'd be, right. We got a little distracted there in our discussions. Thank you. Thank
But
you.
I
Did you have any further
am
comment,
inclined to agree with
Commissioner Arnold?
Baker, and I do have a couple questions for staff when the time's appropriate.
All right, thank you. Mr. Walker, I would echo Commissioner Baker's comments that time is of the essence, and I would encourage you to reach out if possible today and get something scheduled so that you can have this discussion, should that be the decision going forward. But we thank you for your comments today.
Can I have one more question?
Okay, go ahead.
One more question. Are you folks setting the meeting? You say for me to reach out? I'm not clear. I mean, I'm going to make myself available to you wherever and whenever within this week's period. So who do I reach out to, or do you want to contact me and tell me where and when?
Mr. Price, you want him to reach out to your office or with Stacy? Can Stacy coordinate this?
Madam President, Mr. Price is indicating he'll reach out.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to wait to hear from you folks then.
Our general counsel will reach out to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Now, does Mrs. Walker want to comment? We had her down as wanting to address the commission.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, has anyone else signed up to address the commission on this matter?
We don't have any other signups.
All right, thank you very much. Commissioner Arnold, you said you had some questions for staff?
Yes, Madam President, I do have just a couple of questions. It was a little confusing. What was our offer to the walkers? What was our total offer to the walkers in connection with this item?
Madam President, Commissioner Arnold, our original offer was 14,000. I believe 665.
466.56.
66.56. Sorry, thank you. That was the original offer. We did have some negotiations regarding a cost to cure item for some of the landscaping that would have been impacted. That was not a part of the appraisal. That would potentially be we would also still pay for, regardless.
Okay, so did we come up, and I agree with you, it sounds like the landscaping should be included. Did we come up with a number that included the landscaping and other costs?
Yes, we did.
And what was that number?
It was approximately, it's approximately 25. I can get you the exact number here just in just a second. 26,702.
And their offer was 38.
6.
I think it was 36.
I wrote that down too.
Okay, well, just to comment my thoughts, it seems like we're not very far apart. And there is always room for error on calculations, so it seems to me this could be resolved pretty easily. I don't think their offer to us is out of line, but that's just my opinion.
All right, thank you.
Madam President?
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yes, just as Commissioner Baker said, I've been through this myself, so I do understand what's going on and the feelings behind it all. And I have been involved with both Mr. Price and Mr. Serdar with eminent domain issues in the past. It's a big deal for me, just as it is all the commissioners. I would hope that we are now using, for at least the base appraisal for the property, the 2020 appraisals and not 2019, because those are out and official, and I don't think we need to, quibble about which year we're using. And yeah, as Commissioner Arnold said, I think we're pretty darn close. And if we use the new appraisal, we might be there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Surter? All right, and no one else has
Madam
signed
President,
up
I'd like
to
to,
testify?
if I may,
Mr.
respond to
Price?
Commissioner Goldthorpe's.
Go right ahead.
One thing that's required by Idaho law in a condemnation case in terms of valuation is that we have to, at a minimum, pay the tax assessment for the most recent year, and so that most certainly is taken into consideration and would include that. We most certainly take into account the most recent.
I messed up again.
Well, we can't appraise, we've done the appraisal, we can't keep doing appraisal every month, but we most certainly take that into consideration in our negotiations.
That's all I was hoping for.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions for Mr. Surter? No other individuals have signed up to address the commission. All right, I will go ahead now and close the public hearing.
Well, Madam President, I would move we defer the condemnation of right-of-way necessary for Maple Grove Road, Victory Road to Overland Road, Parcel 10 to 2570 South Maple Grove Road, Boise, Idaho, 83709 for 1 week.
And I'll
I will
second the
second that.
motion.
All right, we've got a motion. Any further discussion?
Madam President,
Commissioner Hanson?
yes, I'll support the motion. I do want to just reiterate that last year and in previous years, I was quite strongly objecting to wide growth to 5 lanes. I realize we have a plan that keeps getting adopted that says we're going to widen all these section line roads south of Overland to 5 lanes eventually. This area is all residential. I don't think 5 lanes is warranted. And if that's the position I took and I continue to take, I don't think it's in the public interest to then condemn property for something that I have opposed. I think it's appropriate, since we do have an opportunity this year, to look at, do we really need 5 lanes? 3 lanes can function very well in this area. I don't think we need, especially in this time of COVID, we have a much, we have evidence that this widening, there's a school there, this is mostly residential. Maple Grove basically ends at Lake Hazel. We've got roads that connect to the interstate to the east and west, Pole and Eagle. There's lots of reasons why Maple Grove we should go back to the drawing table, design it to 3 lanes, and then it would resolve that. We wouldn't have taxpayers' money to condemn more property or to take more right-of-way than is necessary. So I do object to this project as 5 lanes, but of course I'm fine with deferring this. And if it still is before us next week and hasn't been resolved between the parties, then take the same position, I dare say.
Thank you very much. So noted. All right, any other discussion? All right, we have a motion before us. I'll call for the decision. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, the next and last item on our regular agenda, public communications. Has anyone signed up to address the commission on other matters, Ms. Spencer?
We do not have anybody signed up.
All right. In that case, commissioners, we will go ahead and we will adjourn our meeting and reconvene here in our post-commission work session. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Do you want to take 5 minutes before we proceed?
Commissioners, do you want to trudge through or do you want to take 5 minutes? Trudge through?
Yeah.
5? Take 5. Okay, we'll take 5.
I was going to say.
Thank you.
All right. Turn it up. Yeah. Just help me try, right?
I don't think people thought about
They got the new one that went out next quarter. Those two, they have support on the original. The updated packet.
I know. Well, I was thinking more than that, but it was.
Yes, it's not the budget book that's published in October, November. I'm not even close to that. It's not, it's really not. It's a little on the weak side.
Scary going.
Was it?
She came a little bit early and there were a few.
Maybe that's why.
A few items of concern, but everything's right now. Not doing better than the doctor even expected her to do. Chelsea's ready to conquer.
Yes, another resolution.
Calming her down a little bit. I'm glad you feel great, but these things take time. Yes, this is our first. So life has been very wonderful in our household.
Sleeping?
I muted the audio because it said
Maybe won't be yet.
Very little sleep.
So I muted the audio. Even with the microphone off.
I can say that again.
Even with microphones off, it's picking up it was picking up us.
It was.
Yes.
Well, I saw that,
So I just muted the entire auditorium.
but, okay, I got
So
you.
we just need to make sure you unmute yourself before you start talking. That's all. All right.
Mr. Price.
It's the only way I can get her right now.
Yeah, it was, I mean, you could see with the microphone, you could totally tell that it was picking up stuff. So I don't know if they could hear that conversation going on
Right.
or what.
Project he wants to diet everything for digestion. I mean, somebody needs to. Yeah, we don't even need to build any roads.
No.
It's already around there.
So is it all new? That's not.
40, but we are you.
Very good stacking, probably.
This is a little.
Should long as you're on this.
We're not going page by page.
No, it's only, they're only bringing some stuff that.
I don't have your moral, it's not on our website. I don't know if I remember. Yeah, see, they don't
Keeps it out. As far as I know, that is a go project. And, it's into the details.
We realize that, but other ones have said that mask stuff.
Well, now he's sending for mask and shoe.
And,
And then Briggs is saying you have to wear a mask at home.
I sent them a note, it says, I see that you have Commissioner Arnold now on your website.
Really not political.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is his brother.
yes.
She talked to the guy.
Yeah, you're on their website, you are on their website, and I just asked for copies of that. You were included with that, so I have not, but it is
It's still.
Has it been 5 minutes, Dave?
No, joking. That's not joking. Not joking.
Not a joking
No, we had a property owner threaten to kill our survey.
Oh,
But now you don't have to. Treasurer's report was me.
No, I can't. You want me to show you where?
Well, we've done that, and we'll file our treasurer's report, so we're done. But, so I don't have a copy of it, not saying that I now have a copy of it, but if you want it on our website,
We got the sheriff involved. And then he said, I was just joking. He was surprised the sheriff got one of them.
Well, has it been 5 minutes?
It has been fun.
Then let's.
Well, I'm prepared to participate. I'm just still sitting.
Spit it out, come on.
You kept talking.
Maybe my message is.
last year on there, for last year's report. I'll check.
Madam President?
Can you imagine that process?
You are on mute. I muted you. Make sure.
Who did you mute?
I did.
President May is muted.
Well,
President May, we've had 5 minutes. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to go. Let's hit it.
All right.
All right.
That, a work session from Christine.
Post-commission work session. Welcome back, Christine.
All right, good afternoon, commissioners. It's Christine Tandler. So yesterday, I had sent out an updated packet after we had gone over, in response to items discussed at the July 8th and 15th budget work session with the commissioners. The first 2 pages in the packet are just a summary of what those are. You can see the adjustments here. We did add a community survey to the communications budget. There was an error in a formula related in the legal budget. The $188,000 was shown in the legal budget, but it was not being added to the total. So I had to correct that in there. Also, due to timing right now, we print bike maps every other year. We're gonna print them in 20. We moved them out of 20, so then 21 and 22 had to flip-flop those budgets so that we could get those printed in FY21 with appropriate input from the committees that planning uses. As well as I had overlooked adding any additional necessary paint and thermoplastic that would be needed for the added third chip seal crew. That goes in traffic operations budget, so that was something that I had unfortunately overlooked, and I had added that back into the FY22 budget. And then maintenance and repair of equipment was excluded from the FY22 budget. For construction services, just needed added back in there. It was found upon further review. The maintenance side specifically, we did add in some items. AVL is the automatic vehicle locator. They're working through demoing several vendors right now. So we have the 2 managers from environmental and maintenance going through that process, working through that to assure that we get a vendor that can provide us the necessary reports for our sweeping and PTES permits. And then the plan is that then we'll continue to expand that out to other pieces of equipment, winter ops and the like. Also, there's been an increase in use of Bobcats UTVs. These are used for roadside spraying, the snow removal in the winter time. And so we do have one. It's needing replaced. So at this time, rather than only replacing one, we're going to get an additional one, so we're not hauling it back and forth between Adams and Cloverdale, and they're able to fully utilize that piece of equipment. There was a damaged tilt deck trailer that we are working on getting the replacement for, which won't be here until the beginning of FY21. I think today there was a mini excavator on the agenda for approval for lease. Was not originally included in the FY21-22 budget, so I did put that back in there as well. And then in the FY21 budget, there was $120,000 for the purchase of a mini excavator, which is an addition to the one that was approved today, and they actually wanted to transition that into a lease. So I removed the $120,000 out of the purchase piece of equipment and put it into the lease side for $15,000. And then just recently, related to timing and scheduling issues through COVID, we have the need to carry over funding for the TMC generator and the fire suppression. This is something we added to the first budget adjustments for FY20. It's something that we're still working on getting some specifics from CSHQA, who's the architect, before we can then get it out to bid as a general contractor bid. So it's not likely that we'll be able to get a bid and then construct it before 9:30. On the capital side, there is, last year we did several, we did a couple roads. I think it was Emerald, Maple Grove to 5 Mile. We did a friction seal bike lane demonstration project. We do have 5 or 6 more segments that we'd like to do related to that. It is a demonstration project. It is something that has been presented to the Bike Advisory Committee. They're very happy with it. It fills in, we do it about 2 to 3 years after chip seal. It fills in some of those gaps and makes for a smoother ride. As requested at the July 15th meeting, I also added in jurisdictions and cities to all the capital projects, and then removed any of those with zeros to make that a little easier to read. So with that, the remainder of the packet is updated with the information I've spoken about. I'm happy to go through any of those items, but or I can just stand for any questions.
Madam President?
Thank you, Christine. Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I just have a couple of questions. Okay, so when you add in and take out, and I come up with like 582,000 that has been added into the 21 budget, but maybe it's different than that because it's, you know, I may have taken 22 or whatever, but there is extra money that you have added in because of some of these items. So where is that coming from?
So the big chunk is the carry forward money of $550,000 that's being carried forward from FY20 to FY21, as well as utilizing the priority corridor reservation account.
Okay.
So I was able to program some additional funds there because we do have some big projects in FY21 that we're not fully utilizing those funds.
Okay.
So I pulled from there.
Okay, so basically the money's there.
The money's there.
It all
balance.
works.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the other question that I had is this does not include any property tax increase from either the 3% or the growth.
That is absolutely correct. And once we're completed with this, I'd love to show you guys the proposed publication that I'm planning to send to the newspaper so that I can have the commissioners look at that. It does have to be sent by Friday at 10 a.m.
Okay.
in order to meet all of our statutory requirements.
Yeah, we'll do that at the end of your presentation and provide direction. Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner Hanson.
Yeah, I just trying to find that email, and there was a report that we were sent about the higher users fund, that we got the money from the state and it was considerably less than what we anticipated. And I noticed we don't change that here. Has that entered into our calculation, and should we be shooting for an actual reduction, comparable reduction in future years? I'm trying to find that note. I
Yeah,
can't remember when we received it, a couple weeks ago.
yeah, I do think it came in perhaps last week, the last week of July. Commissioner Hanson, on that stance, I am, at this time, Sherwin and I have spoken, and I'm not recommending to make any changes to the revenue projections for FY21. We will get the first payment that's recorded in FY21 for July, August, and September in October. And then we'll watch what happens there, as well as what happens with the second quarter that we receive, which is October, November, December, that we get in January prior to our second adjustments. Of note, most of that the decrease in highway users fund did come from general gas tax. The diesel fuel gas tax related to the House Bill 312, for example, we were, I think we short collected maybe just a couple $100,000, so we were a lot closer on that, which goes to show, in that trucking industry, we did continue to see activity there. But again, that is something that we will continue to watch. It's not something that I'm comfortable right now reducing based off of one quarter's revenue report.
Okay.
Yes, and we can adjust it at budget adjustments.
Thank you. Thank you, Christine.
I anticipate we will probably have a budget adjustment on this.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Christine? All right, seeing none. Christine?
Yes, so let me.
Good job, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Let me pull this up, this legal notice. Can you guys see that?
Well, no.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, okay, at least it's on the screen. I can make it bigger. I just wanted to make sure it was on the screen.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the same format as used in the past as far as how I send to the newspaper. This year we're sending only to the Idaho Press with regards to what's happening in order to meet the statutory requirements. Again, this is the notice. Public hearing is proposed for 2 years for formal adoption, but it's the first year that's the guiding year. But any of the 2 years can be discussed during that time. This notification does also show that there is no increase in the property tax certification. Does not include 3% or the new construction roll. Noting that if the publication goes forward like this, the district forgoes their opportunity to increase that amount at all this year. They can't then decide to take it. If we advertise as if we would potentially take it, we can, or we can reduce it. But this is the maximum amount of property tax certification that we can then take in FY21.
Okay, there's a typo.
Okay, thank you.
The third paragraph does not include an increase. It should either be in the property tax certification or to the property tax certification. They're missing the
Does
word
not
before
include an
the.
increase. Oh, thank you.
Okay. Oh, looks good.
Scroll down, is there something at the bottom of this page?
Yep, sorry.
Okay,
A table showing our balanced budget.
okay, great.
Okay.
I just want to commend staff on being able to come up with a budget that works and that's balanced with a zero increase in property tax. I know that was a challenge, and I very much appreciate the staff's efforts in putting together this budget.
Absolutely. And that was our direction to them right from the get-go, to just do a flat budget. So making it work is the magic. Christine, thank you to you, Dale, and your team.
And I think that's important, just with all of the economic disruption that we've seen and the increase in valuation. I mean, this is just a double whammy to people.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. I know in Boise, we are only 6% of the property taxes collected, but every little bit helps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And
I
then
agree.
Chris, go ahead.
I just want to weigh in and say I totally agree. And I think we should, on the other side, also then at the spending side, the major capital projects, how those are and ought to be adjusted given that circumstance.
And so Christine, with the new resolution, and I know we'll address this before the final adoption as well, but if we don't want the money we're not taking, if we want it added, we need, to the foregone balance, we need the resolution, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that.
Yeah.
Do we need to decide that right now? I mean, I'm willing to. Yeah, I don't think
I
we
mean,
should.
if we, yeah.
I
Go
don't
ahead,
think-
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I don't think we should. I think we should just let it lie and have it disappear into the ozone. I don't think our bank account should be in anybody's wallet in the future. So I will vote no. If we have a resolution like that, I will be voting no. If we have no resolution, then we don't have to do anything. And I suggest
Right.
if we don't do
Right,
anything.
if we don't want it added, then there's no action required. And I would agree with Commissioner Baker. I think we are doing what we can by having the flat budget, not taking the extra money, and then to just put it away, to come back and get it later, I think it's kind of contraindicated. So I would support Commissioner Baker's comments as well. Any other commissioners want to weigh in on this?
I would agree until we do a major overhaul of our capital, what they call a capital improvements plan, and impact fee eligibility. There's way too much of our property tied up in things that don't return value.
Madam President,
Any other comments?
I would agree that we should not add it to the foregone balance, that it should just disappear, be waived.
Well, Christine, you've got direction from the majority of the commission on that
Madam
item.
President, I would like to add one thing,
Yes, go right ahead, Commissioner Goldthorpe.
and I don't mind that that's what we're going to do, but I would remind us all that at least in the last 5 years that I've been around, we've never talked anything about, or in any way, shape, or form about utilizing the foregone, except in the spring of 2017 when we were worried about having to replace bridges immediately.
Thank you.
Well, Madam President, Ken,
Commissioner Baker.
It's not us, I think we have to worry about. It's somebody in the future. So
Agreed.
this keeps
Right.
it from somebody's grasping hands in the future, I guess.
Agree. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns about the budget?
Okay.
All right, hearing none.
Thank you.
Christine, do you have anything else you'd like from us?
Just the last thing is thank you, commissioners, for your support during this budget time, and we'll see you in a few weeks at the public hearing, August 26th.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Thank
the
you.
Budget adoption, August 26th.
Maybe not.
Thank you very much for your hard work.
Thank you.
We appreciate it, Christine. Thank you. All right, Mr. Wallace, no other items for us at this time,
Madam
correct?
President, I have no further items.
All right, everybody, thank you very much. It was a good meeting. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Mr. Wallace, you did superbly.
Go through it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye, thanks.
I will not listen.